but they are 27th in defense this season, 4-2 on the year, 22nd in net rating. Their offense is 12th, but it just should be higher. And Zach Lowe had an interesting stat in his 7 things, which is no longer 10 things, last week at ESPN, where he said that they're running Dame and Giannis about 7 pick and rolls per game. Compared that to Lillard with Nurkic or Lillard with Enes Kanter, and those numbers were often higher than what he's running with Giannis right now, which just doesn't make a lot of sense. I looked it up, and this year Giannis is averaging total 77.5 touches per game, 4.7 minutes in terms of time of possession for him as a player. I believe that's what the stat is on NBA.com. It just says 4.7, so I'll just say minutes per game. Last year, it was about the same. And so it might not sound like a huge problem, but they traded for a guy named Damian Lillard this offseason. And Chris Middleton is healthy. And there are still so many possessions, including in the game against Brooklyn that they almost lost, where he just dribbles the ball into jumpers. And I thought we were done with that. I thought that was done once they got maybe the best offensive player that he's ever played with. I mean, I think he would have to be the best offensive player that Giannis has ever played with.
It's not a maybe. He is the best.
And yet their habits are the same. What is going on with the Milwaukee Bucks?
It doesn't really make sense to me. If you just look at Dame's usage rate for the season, Brendan, 26.9. The last time he had a number at this or lower, it was his 3rd season in the NBA. He was 24 years old. Since then, he has had 2 seasons, where he was under 30% usage rate. That was 29.3 twice, which he had 2 years ago and then a few years before that. This is a guy that is high usage, and he's incredibly efficient at high usage. And you should just be putting the ball in his hands, and Giannis should be catering to him to allow him to be the best version of himself, because it's going to make the Bucks a heck of a lot better. You don't trade for trading for Damian Lillard and doing the same stuff the Bucks are doing. It's like buying like a sports car and like not taking it on the highway, and you're driving at like 45 through the suburbs. Like, you're not actually using it for its intended God-given purpose. You're just
or those cars like my wife's Toyota Corolla has like the pedal shifter, like the little hand shifter on the steering wheel, and it's like, no, this isn't automatic. I'm just going to take advantage of that. I don't want to go back in time and make life harder on myself.
Right. You're actively choosing something that is not making your team better, and I don't quite understand it. Maybe it is still early. It's 6 games. I think we have to say that. It's early still because these guys, they haven't played even 10 games together yet. I'm willing to I think, give this time to evolve and breathe and figure itself out, and everyone being healthy will allow some of that. But this being like the initial result is, I think, incredibly disappointing. I think there's no way around it that the process the Bucks are having on offense right now, it is incredibly disappointing based on what we know about what Giannis is really good at and what Dame is really good at.
Chris Middleton also healthy. I know he's missed games. I know he's not at his best, but when I watch them, when he has played, he is still capable of getting a bucket. That's another guy who needs to get his and get fed. And yet, again, I don't know what goes through Giannis's head in these moments, but him pump faking into a standstill 3 is straight up bad offense. It's bad. There's no way around that. And the last observation I would have on this whole thing, when we talk about the pick and roll and how Lillard is being used and who he's in tandem with on the court, a pick and roll with him and Lopez, Dame and Brook, is very similar to Nurkic or Kanter. And I do think that one of the downsides of running that is, because there's obviously the Giannis can then cut, Giannis can be in the dunker spot and be a threat for a dump off or an offensive rebound, and that's not terrible. But Brook's feet are slow. If you're running a pick and pop and trying to go 5 out with Dame as the ball handler, Brook's not the type of guy who's going to have the fluidity to set that screen, really quickly pivot up to the top of the key, get out of the way, and be there to space. He's going to get in the way. And if he's rolling, he's not a lob threat. He's not really like a downhill athletic finisher. He's sort of just mucking things up a lot of the time. And so, again, it just returns us to Dame and Giannis need to be running pick and roll because that's the best combination on this team. That opens up the most for everybody else. That creates the best floor balance, and it makes the best use of the star talent that they have.